PS3 games are coming back, and I think this is the right way to do it going forward. After that, it's time to answer the question of whether or not you're too young to play on your PS5. And finally, the PS5 Pro enhancements just keep coming. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. It's the middle of the summer. We're finally ramping up into the game releases of the fall, though. Mafia: The Old Country is about to come out, Dying Light the Beast, Silent Hill F, Ghost of Yotei. It looks like we actually have a pretty great fall lineup, so let me know which of those games you're excited to play on your PS5 or PS5 Pro down in the comments. I'm sorry the way I said that was so YouTubery. I'm actually very interested in what you're excited for this fall. Anyway, with the intro out of the way, let's jump into the first news story here. So the PS3 situation on the PS5, shocker, is not good. We've heard rumors upon rumors upon rumors of, Sony getting an emulator ready to put PS3 games on the PS5 store. That never materialized. Then they hire Implicit Conversions to remake the PS2 emulator, and they did a pretty decent job. And then Implicit Conversions came out and said, yeah, we've been working on a PS3 emulator. We just need the go ahead from Sony. So you'd assume that Sony would immediately greenlight that because there's a huge library of games that are stuck on the PS3. And I'm not going to ramble off the list. You guys know exactly what games I like at this point. But none of this stuff is materializing, and we are very clearly quickly approaching the end of the PS5 generation, which is like a whole nother conversation about how this generation really shook out, but it looks like 2027 is the end of it. So at the very best, I feel like we can hope for the emulation being a launch feature of the PS6, because even if it was ready right now, we're at the point in time where they would definitely hold it back just to add one more little marketing box to the power of the PlayStation 6. And like, whether that's the right thing to do, I don't know. I just want the games back on my PlayStation console that I have at any given time, and chances are I'm going to buy the PS6 day one. So if I have to wait, all I care about is that I eventually get them, but that's besides the point, because other developers are getting sick and tired of waiting for some way to bring back their old games that were stuck on the PS3. So they're just remaking and remastering them from the ground up for the PS5. And I think that's really smart. The first game I've seen do this recently is Sacred 2. It came out back in 2009. So I was 16 years old and I remember trying it out. It's a very similar game to Diablo. They used to make action RPGs a lot more than they do now. And it was awesome back in the day because they didn't have always online requirements or seasons or anything like that. So you could get through these games in a couple of weekends with your buddies, go through all the end game dungeons and then be done with it. It could kind of simmer in your mind and you get nostalgic for it and then you go back. I used to do that with Torchlight and Torchlight 2 back in the day, and even Diablo 3, even though that is an always online game on PC where I played it. So they're bringing back Sacred 2 for the PlayStation 5, and I wish more developers would do this. We're kind of seeing more and more of these 360 PS3 era classics coming back. Of course, the Gears Ultimate version, Gears Reloaded, I think is what they're calling it, is coming out in August and the same day as Helldivers 2 on Xbox, and I'm very excited to go through that game's story. I just wish it was a trilogy, honestly. Like, I hope it sells well enough for Xbox to kind of get 2 and 3 remastered, remade, or whatever, so we can play those on PS5, because as great as the first Gears of War is, because it's the most survival horror oriented version of Gears of War, I really like 2 and 3 a lot more, and they've already remastered the first game once. So like starting out with doing it again is kind of a bummer, because it's not really like a full port or a full remake or anything like that. They're taking the Gears Ultimate Edition, slapping a slightly new coat of paint on it so you can get higher textures, resolution, and like a few better graphic settings. But really, at the end of the day, it's just Gears Ultimate Edition from like, what, 10 years ago at this point? We also definitely have the Master Chief Collection to look forward to on PlayStation 5. I'm not even going to get into the console war stuff. Like, does it hurt Xbox to bring over the Master Chief Collection? I just think it would be awesome to have Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, ODST, and Reach on the PlayStation platform. I mean, the amount of games that you get in that collection is awesome, and while we wait for all the first party stuff to come out from Sony, those are perfect filler experiences, as we're seeing from big games that are kind of old, like Forza Horizon 5 taking off on the PS5. So with all these other developers kind of going ahead and doing this, I want to see it from Sony, man. Like, they need to get this Namco Bandai partnership that they've got going into the PS3 AAA space. Like, don't give them full publishing rights, but give them the keys to remake games like they did with Demon Souls and Bluepoint. I think that was a great PS3 remake. Let's remake the Infamous trilogy. Let's remake the Resistance trilogy. Let's remake the Killzone trilogy. I know that they look at it like, they're going to strip the multiplayer out. It's just going to be the single player stories on one disc, and there's no real future for those games. But like, they could see what games from that generation still have cash with people and could be brought back in future iterations. I don't think Insomniac is totally critical to the success of of Resistance. I feel like you could develop a new first-person shooter studio to kind of revitalize and reboot that brand, especially since it's been gone so long. I don't want to pretend like it was the most popular thing ever, because I mean, I was in high school when it came out, which is like the peak age to be a PS3 gamer, and I think I was the only person in my grade who had a PS3 outside of my two best friends. So like, it was not nearly as popular as the 360 was in my high school, but I think it is a perfect franchise for revitalization by showing fans of PlayStation Now from the PS4 generation, or now with the PS5 generation, what they missed out on during the PS3 gen. Because you think Sony did a good job during the PS4 generation, and they did. They objectively made some of the best games they've ever made during the PS4 generation, but the games that made me a hardcore for life PlayStation fan are 100% the ones I played during the PS3 generation. One thing I've always praised Sony for, and I'm not kind of going against them with this, I don't think, is that they're willing to move on from franchises and not let them get old in the tooth. Like, you know, they did 3 Infamouses, then they moved on. They did 3 Resistances, then they moved on. They did 3 of everything, Killzone, whatever, and then they moved on to new franchises. And I think that was smart to keep the whole brand of PlayStation doing new and interesting and exciting things, because you just don't want to see the same things over and over again. But you also have to respect that legacy and make sure that those games are playable going forward. So if they're not going to invest in native PS3 emulation, I'd prefer they kind of get some company on board or some developer on board who could do what Nixxes does with the PC releases and just go through the PS3 back catalog and remaster at the very least some of their most popular games. And I think that would be better in the long run, because even if you run the actual PS3 game, I mean, they were made to run at 720p, even though the PS3 had 1080p output and it was powerful. Very few games actually outputted at 1080p. So if they get a little bit of a cleanup pass, that's only going to help their presentation in the long run. And during the PS3 generation, we were getting collection discs from Sony all the time with slight remasters of the best PS2 games, like the Jak and Daxter collection, the Ratchet and Clank collection, the God of War collection. That one even included the PSP game. So I'd love to see that come back. I know the reason they don't do it is because games are too expensive and take too long to make and take too many people to make, but games seem like they are kind of getting a little bit smaller than these 50 to 100 hour open world epics, right? Like Ghost of Yotei will take you 50 hours to 100% or 25 hours to beat, and I think that's perfect. I think they can figure it out if they put the effort in, so hopefully this Sacred 2 remaster does well and kind of tips Sony off to the fact that people really want to see these PS3 games come back. Anyway, you're gonna have to go back to old games soon, because this age verification scandal situation, I don't want to call it a scandal. It's not really a scandal. It's just total crap. It's getting out of control is what the point is I'm trying to make. So if you're not caught up on this, basically the UK passed an online safety law that's really just, you know, government control of the entire internet, and they're blaming it on kids' safety, but people are getting pissed because, you know, it's blocking VPNs, it's asking them to age verify to use Spotify, it's asking them to age verify to use YouTube. It is way overreaching over in the United Kingdom, and it's really affecting everywhere, because if they enact these rules in the United Kingdom and they develop all this software to do age verification, of course you're just going to spread it everywhere else, and now it's hitting GTA Online. Over the past few months, Rockstar has been adding to the background of GTA 5 and GTA Online total age verification. So you're going to either have to upload your driver's license or use the camera to verify your age on your phone, or maybe get a PS5 camera. I don't know. The point is, the game is going to have to verify that you're old enough to be playing Grand Theft Auto 5. And like, I don't know, I feel like this should be left up to the parents at the end of the day. Like, I'll never forget when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, whenever the original Xbox came out, my mom was letting me rent a game for it at Blockbuster, and I picked out Halo Combat Evolved because that was the last game I had to get from the launch lineup. And I was like, whoa, it's rated mature. I'm a mature kid, right, Mom? And she was like, what does that mean? And then she took the game for me, looked at the M rating, saw blood, guts, gore, whatever was the M rating for Halo, and put it back on the shelf, and then banned me from playing M games. So I trusted my mom to be cool with me, and she was the opposite of cool with me. But, you know, she stopped me from playing M games. I had to get around it. Like, every year my grandpa would take me to Circuit City to get some movies and games for my birthday, and then I told him what my mom was doing, and we got Super Mario Sunshine and Resident Evil 4, and he kept the Resident Evil 4 case for me and let me put the discs from it in the Super Mario Sunshine case. So it worked out, and it was fun having those formative memories with my grandpa, and it was a nice way to get around my mom with a really stupid rule. But the government should not be doing this. Like, I know it is borderline on political at this point. I really don't want to talk politics, but I don't understand how anyone can look at this and not just see it as total government overreach. And I don't like that it's affecting us in the United United States. I know we're supposed to have free speech here, and obviously that's not the case because people find ways around it to stifle free speech. That's a whole different conversation. When you've got a country's government dictating what types of content you can play in games, you are past the pale and it needs to change immediately. I don't really know what the fix is because I'm just a guy in my basement, but like if I have to upload my driver's license to a game to use the online features, I think I'm out on the online features. I will just be the peaceful single player gamer from that point onward because I don't want to give Sony my driver's license info. I don't trust them with that information. I don't trust the third-party company they're inevitably going to hire that will spring up because it'll be a startup. Everything will be rushed, and then we'll see all the data leak from this stuff, like with all the companies that end up using this company's service. We've seen this play out so many times, and I'm so numb to it and sick of it that I just don't want to give that information away. Like, I know so much of my information is out there just from using the internet and having online social media profiles, but like uploading a picture of my driver's license or verifying that I'm a real human with my phone's camera to play a video game, no, it's just like way too far, man. Like, I go through a lot of effort to make sure I can hide as much data as possible when I'm online, but like because these companies have total dominance and control over all of it, that's the big problem with the internet being so ingrained in literally everything we do. But yeah, I think the best thing we can hope for is that companies like Rockstar or companies like Spotify, for example, see a massive drop off in user base because of these laws and figure out a way to lobby against them to figure out how to get the government in the UK to change their minds. Like, lobbying can be positive, I guess, and it really seems like it's the only way any of this is going to get fixed. But when you've got this going on and then the situation on Steam, that's definitely going to affect PS5 at some point, where this group of disgruntled women in Australia is going after horror games and adult themed games, saying that they break MasterCard's rules so that they need to be taken off Steam so that MasterCard can process on Steam. MasterCard is the problem and this group is the problem. And if it works on Steam, which it is so far, you know they're going to come for Xbox and PlayStation next. Like, the censorship is coming out of nowhere and it's completely out of control. So yeah, you might be too young to play PS5, especially M-rated online games like Grand Theft Auto. Like, I wonder if this is going to come to Fortnite. Who knows? I'll keep an eye on it and I'll keep you updated on it. Make sure you're subscribed with your notifications set to all. But for the last news story here, I wanted to talk about the latest game getting PS5 Pro enhancements, which is Mafia: The Old Country. And every gameplay video we've seen so far from this game has been on the PlayStation 5 Pro, but they haven't detailed exactly what the actual PS5 Pro enhancements are. And it looks like on top of mostly running around 60 FPS, you're going to get a higher dynamic resolution range. So like, instead of being 720p to 1080p, it'll start at 1080p and go up to like 4K maybe. I don't know. They didn't detail it. It'll also have VRR support. So like, if you're in the window that your TV supports, it'll smooth out the frames by matching your TV's refresh rate to the actual frame rate of the game, which will be nice because that will stop stuttering from being super apparent. And of course, it has 120 hertz support. So if you have a 120 hertz TV, your resolution will definitely take a hit, but hopefully you'll be able to keep the frame rates well above 60 FPS in this game. There's no word on whether or not it's using PSSR, and it's weird. Like, because PSSR is getting that massive upgrade next year, it seems like other developers are kind of holding off on using it. I can't confirm this, but from the footage I've seen of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, it looks like it's still using regular old FSR. Like, there's a little bit of ghosting, there's a little bit of rough edginess in that game, so I don't know why they're not using PSSR. And then if you look at Silent Hill 2, when they implemented PSSR, they totally screwed it up and it's still messed up. So it seems like they're waiting for the evolution of PSSR we're getting next year. I'd assume Chronos: The New Dawn will stick with FSR for now because, you know, they made Silent Hill 2 and their results with PSSR are very subpar. So like, they're probably going to stick with what they know because that was better than what we got on the PS5 Pro. So what I'm saying is that update can't come soon enough, but in terms of overall performance, I continue to be happy with my purchase with the PS5 Pro. I am getting better frame rates even in games that don't natively support it, but I'm glad that this cheaper game, it's $50 if you didn't know, and it's out now if you want to check it out. I don't know what the reviews are because of when I'm recording this video, but it seems pretty cool and very Uncharted inspired. It looks like it's getting raw power updates from the PS5 Pro, and I couldn't be happier about that because the thing was expensive and the whole marketing sell on it was 60 FPS 4K gameplay. And it looks like no matter what, whether you use performance mode or quality mode, we're at the very least getting both of those options, even if they are separated. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this one. I hope you're having a great weekend. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.